Hello and welcome to the Grounded and Growing podcast. And this is the first podcast in the series. And it's a bit different for me. I normally podcast about knitting and all sorts of bits and pieces, but I've decided I need to do more podcasting about my outdoorsy pursuits and bits and pieces I get on with. So those of you that follow me on the knitting will recognise that I'm currently in my bedroom here. I'm currently in the process of getting a cabin built for a studio space for both outdoor pursuits and for my hand dyeing and different bits and pieces. So let's get going with the first episode. The first one is fresh starts in the wild. So this is looking at setting intentions. So as the new year begins, many of us feel the urge to set resolutions or goals that we hope to achieve, or habits that we want to break or build, and set a vision really for the next 12 months. I often find that resolutions feel a little rigid and they don't leave room for life's shifts or growth or reflection. They are, I'm going to do this and this is how I'm going to do it. So things like, I will exercise 5 times a week. So changing that then into an intention, because intentions are less about achieving a fixed outcome and more about embodying a way of being. You would say, instead of exercising 5 times a week, you would then say, I will move my body in ways that feel joyful or nourishing, rather than I will be more productive. An intention could be, I will create space for meaningful work and for rest, honouring both. I find that intentions encourage more presence and patience and self-compassion. Resolutions can be more punishing when we fail, for example. Dogs barking, delights of neighbours going past on quad bikes sets all of the dogs off these days. Finding inspiration then in nature. So nature is a constant teacher. Nature offers wisdom, and through its cycles, its resilience, its adaptability. By us observing the natural world, sorry, I have written notes here, so I'm a bit nervous about doing this. So from observing the natural world, we can find inspiration for setting our intentions in a way that feels more organic or aligned with the way that we want to cultivate, the life that we want to cultivate, the way we want to live. So this year, I've been doing this for a couple of years now, but this year I really want to look to the seasons for guidance. So every season throughout the year holds its own lessons. So winter is a time of stillness, it's reflection, it's conserving your energies. Spring then is the season of renewal, growth and possibility. So almost waiting for spring to set resolutions anyway is more of a natural thing. Summer is a period of full expression, creativity and abundance. And then autumn is a time for harvesting, releasing things that do not serve, and preparing for that restful winter. So seasons can also be seasons of life, not just actual sort of times of year, but sort of a personal state of being. And but looking to nature, it's more like asking, what lessons does nature offer me at the moment? So winter, I'm reading my notes and I'm wondering where on earth I was going with this. Basically, so for example, if you're in a period of deep transition, winter's quiet might remind you that it's okay to pause before leaping into something new. So it's reminding yourself that nature isn't always full on go, go, go. It's like, no, you can take that time to pause, rest, reflect before moving forward in a spring phase of your life. Observing nature's patience. So nature doesn't rush. A tree doesn't rush to grow. It stretches slowly, season by season. Flowers, they don't bloom all at once. You get different flowers blooming at different times of the year. You get different flowers blooming on the same bush at different times through the season. So when you're setting intentions, you could consider that how can you embrace this slowness, this patience? Where can you allow patience instead of forcing quick results? Where can you embrace slowness in your growth this year? Nature's resilience then and adaptation. So even in the harshest conditions, nature finds a way to thrive. Plants bend in the wind, rivers carve new paths, and animals adapt to changing landscapes. So this then can encourage us to look at how can we be more adaptable in our approach to our goals? Where in our life can we release control and just trust the process? So learning then as well then from nature's cycles of rest and growth. A tree doesn't bloom all year round, it rests. It gathers energy and then grows when the time is right. This rhythm reminds us to honour both action and stillness in our lives. So instead of setting goals that demand constant effort, we can consider like an ebb and flow approach. So you set periods of activity and then periods of rest, creating space then for play, reflection, and your chance to recalibrate. So you see where you've got to through the year and say, actually, I need to spend more time balancing work and life, or wherever you feel out of balance. So let's look at some practical ways to set nature-inspired intentions. So you could take a reflective walk in nature, head outside with a journal, simply a quiet mind. Observe your surroundings and let them guide your thoughts. What is nature showing you today? What words, images, or feelings come up as you walk? What do these insights reveal about your year ahead? You could choose a word or a theme for the year. So I've chosen a theme for my year, for my wool business, as a year of nature-inspired crafting. So instead of strict resolutions, select a word or theme that could be inspired by nature for your year. Something like rooted, to cultivate stability or presence. Bloom, to embrace self-expression and confidence, or flow, to release resistance and move more with ease. Wild, to step into freedom and authenticity. Write your words somewhere visible in a journal or a vision board, or even a stone from your favourite outdoor space. Have it around. See your word regularly. Remind yourself where your intention is this year, to be rooted, to bloom, to flow, or to be wild. Another way you could set nature-inspired intentions is to create a nature-based ritual. Mark the start of the year with a small ritual. Light a candle. Write your intentions on a leaf or a piece of wood. Release them into a stream, or burn them to release them to the universe. You could gather natural objects like seeds or shells or feathers and place them in a space to remind you of your guiding intention for the year. I've got a little table set up over in the corner with some candles and bits and pieces that I like to add nature finds to. So the last part then of practical ways to set nature-inspired intentions is to track the moon or seasonal shifts. So using the lunar cycle, I have found, working with a wonderful, wonderful friend, I will link her in the comments, in the blurb underneath, using this lunar cycle as natural check-in points. So every full moon, I'm pausing and reflecting, and the same at every new moon. So twice a month, the different energies shift, and I'm using those to see, am I aligned with my intention? Do I need to adjust my path? What does not serve me? Release that. Set intentions for ways to move forward in the next few weeks. So embracing nature's wisdom all year long. Setting intentions inspired by nature allows for gentleness, adaptability, and deep connection. Instead of forcing change, we learn to move in harmony with our own rhythms, trusting like the trees, we will grow in our own time. So this year, let your intentions be like seeds. Plant them with care, nurture them with patience, and trust that they will bloom when the time is right. What are your intentions for the next year? Pop them in the comments. So onto a little segment then called Nature's Notebook. Walking the lane to the sheep this year, or this last week really, I have noticed the little starts of the cleavers growing. Great stuff. I love having a little nibble, and I take a few along for the sheep to eat as well, which is great. The snowdrop shoots, which are about this big at the moment, down up here on the hill. So we're quite high above sea level here, so it's a bit colder. I have noticed that down in Carmarthen, they've actually got snowdrops up. So yeah, it'll be a couple more weeks before we get that, but they're about this big. The goldfinches have been zipping in and out of various bits of wood as well, which is always nice to see those little flashes of colour streaking across the hedgerows, which is great. But one thing I have found this last couple of weeks, I've been harvesting the willow that we grow here on the small holding, like a whirling dervish, that, and harvesting the willow at the Wool Museum as well for them. But in our willow, I found something rather odd. So it's absolutely enormous. I really probably should have trimmed it down before I brought it upstairs in the house. It starts off perfectly normal, perfectly like willow basketry. And as you go along, you get to about halfway and it starts to flatten. Sorry, I'm going to try not to beat you with willow. But it flattens out into this absolutely wonderful, what I have come to learn is a fascination. Now, my husband said apparently quite a few different things he's noticed did this last year, so it must have been something down to the weather. But I thought I would share one of my most interesting nature finds, a fascination of willow. So that's it for Nature's Notebook this time. So, hoping that the fascination doesn't fall down on me, that leads me nicely into, as Imbolc approaches now on this weekend, 1st of February, I will direct your attention to the St Brigid's cross tutorial on this channel, where I demonstrate how to weave St Brigid's crosses out of some pieces of willow. But you can also do this out of rushes, and the principle will be exactly the same. They just come out a little bit more wee. But yeah, I'll direct you over there, and I will try and link it in the blurb below and see how we go with that. So that just leaves us then with one small step. One small step this month that you could do to connect to nature. So given that we are in January, we are in winter, I think this month is taking time to embrace the stillness in nature, rest and reflect, and take a mindful winter walk, noting the quiet, noting the crisp air. If you get any cold and crisp days, it has been awfully wet here recently, and noting the stillness in the landscape. So that's it then for Grounded in Growing this month, and I hope you will subscribe and join us next month.